about the roster, the pitching staff that you are for you, and just the depth?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I was joking with my friends last night from back home. It's like, all you got to do is get to the fifth inning and possibly the fourth, and then just turn it over. But yeah, no, I mean, what the team has done at deadline has been incredible, really aggressive, and like I said, just happy to be part of this team, happy to hopefully just be a stepping stone to get to the playoffs and hopefully win it all.
Test coming back clean. I'm not really concerned with where the nerves are right now.
So you fully expect to pitch again?
Oh, wait. Oh, God, yeah. Clown question, bro.
Clown question. That's what I do. I'm Marty Caswell. I'm a clown question professional. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I am so happy to welcome in Bob Scanlan, who is a busy, busy man. He is out there in Arizona, hopefully safe from that ridiculous Arizona heat. Bob Scanlan, good morning. How are you today?
Marty, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Always great talking ball with you. And that's a great way to start, seeing Michael King drop a Bryce Harper reference on you. You got clown questioned.
That was a couple of months ago. And there was a point I'm like, wait a second. Maybe it wasn't a clown question. I mean, are we going to see Michael King again? But things are looking good. Let's go ahead and start. I want to get to Nestor Cortez making his debut. A wild game, extra inning game against Arizona yesterday. It feels like every single game for the Padres now is going to feel like a playoff caliber game because these things matter more than ever. 63-51, and they are right there for the division as well. But let's go to Michael King, man. And he threw a bullpen. I'm sorry, he threw a rehab game Sunday, I believe, for El Paso. He's coming back. He's coming back this weekend, it looks like, versus the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a question of whether he was going to come back or not because of the nature of the injury. And it was really a strange, unusual thing where the nerve got aggravated in the back of his shoulder. It's not something that you normally see in baseball. Yeah. But it wasn't a case of the nerve is damaged or injured, and is there a question whether it's ever going to come back or not? It was just a question of when was it going to sort of reactivate and come back to life so that the shoulder was working properly. And in the meantime, there was no other soft tissue damage anywhere. So it was a very strange injury, so to speak. It was more of a condition that once it resolved itself, there was no reason to think that he wouldn't be able to come back quickly. And he has, thank goodness. So it was just a question of when is this nerve going to start activating the way it's supposed to again? And once it does, full steam ahead. And yeah, everything's gone really well. There's been no setbacks. His rehab is going fine. As you mentioned, he just threw in El Paso 60 pitches, I think it was. Talked to Michael about it. He said it was smoking hot out there. So the ball was flying. He did get up a couple home runs apparently, but he feels good, and that's the most important thing. And he's going to pitch. We're going to see him either probably Friday or Saturday if he threw Sunday. Yeah, it's great news, and he's feeling good. And what an amazing addition to this ball club, right? I mean, we've already had so much fun talking about the trade deadline and all these additions, and on top of it, you're getting Michael King back. That's absolutely huge. I know he's super excited about coming back, and we're excited to see him.
I remember before the trade deadline, we had asked Mike Schultz in one of his pregame scrims about the deadline, right? About, the players you can get back. And he made this comment that there is no one we can get back that's going to have a bigger impact perhaps than Michael King. And we'll get to that in a second because they've got some clear impact guys, but how big a deal for Michael King? And do you think that him assimilating back to the rotation and being up to speed, is it the same process as Yu Darvish, or do you think it's considering the different sort of injury when it comes to building up the arm strength?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do think it's going to be different.
Okay.
And the main reason is, I think, and you made reference to this himself, after his first outing back, one of his comments was, I was most happy that I was able to throw my slider and not feel anything in the elbow. Which was really interesting at the time because he knew he was coming back from an elbow issue, and that's the pitch that puts the most stress on your elbow. And so even for him, he was kind of wondering, well, how is this thing going to respond when I'm actually in a game with that adrenaline and really trying to rip through these sliders to get out major league hitters? But with Michael King, I don't think there's going to be any questions like that in terms of, how is it feeling? Is it really back? And, again, there was no soft tissue damage or anything.
Okay.
So I think for Michael King, it's just more a thing of, okay, you got your pitch count up to 61. Is there going to still be an issue of, how sharp are you with your breaking pitches and your spin and all that? That could be a question since it's been a little while since he's been back on a big league mound and the adrenaline and everything. So that's a legitimate question. However, in just seeing him in his outing that he had at Petco Park a couple of weeks ago, that first simulated game, I was super impressed with how his stuff looked. Breaking pitches had great shape. And most importantly for him, his bread and butter is that two-seam fastball that he can front hip to the left-hand batters and, get the righties on the outside corner. That had all the action that it normally has. So just seeing that one outing, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the stuff is there, the shapes are there, the action is there. Now it's just how fine-tunedly can he command those things. And, hopefully that comes back quickly and he's sharp in his first outing back on a big league mound.
I know I always accuse Mike Schultz of hiding, of being coy, of downplaying everything. But I think when it comes to Michael King, he's not even bothering to hide how excited the Padres are to have him back, right? I mean, 0 restrictions. This is perhaps, we'll get to Laureano and Cortez, who's making his debut tonight, and of course, Mason Miller. But this is probably, to me, the biggest piece the Padres are adding come post-deadline, Michael King.
Yeah, no, it's huge. No question about it. I mean, A, every time he goes to the mound, you've got a chance to win a baseball game. But B, he is a guy that can go deeper into games. And there's been a lot of discussion about that in terms of the starting rotation and how deep they can go and how some guys haven't been able to go very deep. And, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Some of it is who's on the mound, but also some of it is, quite frankly, how much offensive support is he getting? If you've got a close 1-run game in the 5th inning and your guy's facing the lineup a 3rd time through and you've got those big 4 horsemen and now it's 5 on the back end, you can't blame Mike Schultz for wanting to go those guys and saying, hey, I'm locking down this 1-run lead at this point. So it's a combination of things, but Michael King is a guy who can give a manager a little bit more confidence of feeling like, okay, it's a 3rd time through the lineup. We've got a 1-run game, but he's still mowing. I can afford to let him go a little bit longer, give him a little bit more leash into the 6th inning or the early 7th inning, whatever it may be, before I've got to start bringing in those big bad boys out of the bullpen. So yeah, it's huge. He's a great presence in the clubhouse also, as you know. I mean, he's a fun, lighthearted guy, loves talking to his teammates, loves talking baseball. Yeah, he loves so it's just another part of this, such a unique experience that this pitching staff has had. And I think Nestor Cortez, appreciates it also. When you come over here and you're around you Darvish type guys, and he actually mentioned the other day, it's like, I was in awe. I'm in the same clubhouse with Darvish. But Michael King is in that category also with guys in terms of, respect that he has from but other pitchers throughout the league. Joe Musgrove is another, part of that. And people have a ton of respect for Dylan Cease and his stuff and what Nick Pivetta has done this year. And that puts an emphasis, a star on, oh, and by the way, all these guys are doing this under the leadership of Ruben Niebla and his staff. So there's a lot of things, a lot of momentum that gets built up when you get a piece like Michael King back. And it's just like, yeah, the boys are back together and we make everybody stronger together. So yeah, it's an important piece and it's great to have him returning, hopefully.
Gosh, Bob, I love talking to you. I love talking to you as much as I love talking to Michael King. He's such a positive force in that clubhouse, just on the field. That's a huge deal. Okay, now I know they already sent down JP Sears. He can't return for 15 days. The Padres don't need an extra starter. But do you think that when everyone's back and fully, do you think the Padres will entertain a 6-man rotation just because doing so, it may or may not give your bullpen more of a break, but what's the best thing for this Padres team going forward? 6-man rotation or go with a 5?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And I think it's probably one that the front office and the coaching staff is probably pondering themselves at this point. There are certainly advantages to going to a 6-man that you can justify when you have 6 guys that are legitimately people you want to see on the mound every 6th day, right? Because oftentimes they talk, we're going to have a 6-man rotation. It's like, do you really want to see all those 6 of those guys trying to go deep into games? Not necessarily. No. But with the Padres, they will have 6 legitimate candidates. And of course, what it does is it gives guys extra days rest. Now, some of that also has to do with the scheduling. And I do believe that there is another pocket on the schedule coming up where it's, 14, 15, 16 days in a row where you might want to have that extra day rest, especially for guys like you, Darvish, maybe for Michael King coming back and giving him a little bit of an extra blow if you need it. And even a guy like Nick Pivetta, who's been working all season long and taking the ball every day. It's getting towards the end of the season. This is the time of the year where if you can give those guys the luxury, you want to consider doing it. On the other hand, and Mike Schilt talked about this yesterday in the pregame presser, nothing is for free, right? So when you go to a 6-man rotation, that's one less guy that you have in your bullpen. And if somebody doesn't pitch well, that puts a little bit more pressure on your bullpen of guys having to cover up innings later in the season that's already done a lot of work. So it's not a black and white, easy, 6 guy, let's go for it. There are things that you need to consider, and I'm sure the Padres will take all those things into account, and some of it may have to do with how well all the 5 guys are throwing and how, what JP Sears is doing as well. So it's a great question, Marty, and I think it's to be determined.
Before we get to Nestor Cortez, who's going to make his Padres debut tonight, how big a deal did the Padres keep Dylan Cease? And again, for this Padres team, I mean, they're already thinking. I spoke to AJ Cassavell. I think it was yesterday. He talked about how they could line up this pitching staff against the Dodgers. When you keep Dylan Cease, I mean, you're thinking this is a guy that you're potentially going to have in the playoffs. And you may like the contributions you got from Berger and that you got from Stephen Kolek, but Dylan Cease is a pitcher that you need in the postseason rather than guys who haven't been there and done that before and then don't have the same sort of resume as Dylan Cease.
Yes, absolutely. Everything you just said. And, it's interesting because I'm looking at, we're playing the Diamondbacks right now, and they just had a big sell-off, as we know. And I think part of the calculus for them in terms of looking at, do we have a legitimate chance of going for this thing or not, was, look, they have a solid lineup, right? They have one of the best lineups in the National League in terms of depth in the roster. And even after they traded away Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez, people saw last night, these guys can hit. So that wasn't the question. The question was the pitching side. They had issues in the bullpen. But my point is, the real question mark, I think, for them was, what's going on in our starting rotation this year? Kelly's throwing well, Fott's throwing well, but Zach Gallen, who is a key guy for them, was not pitching like Zach Gallen can. And you have to ask yourself, okay, what do we need? And this is to your point. What do you need to not only win a playoff spot, but then do well in the postseason? You need stud starting pitchers. You need guys to go out there and shut down, World Series quality offenses. And Dylan Cease is one of those guys. And when he is on, and we've seen that he's been throwing the ball much better lately. In fact, his last outing was really electric once again.
Yes.
That is a difference maker guy. That is a guy that you can send out there on, Game 7 of the World Series and feel like we got a chance of shutting that other team down. And so it's amazing that they were able to hang on to Dylan Cease. And I think, again, to AJ, of understanding the concept of, okay, we can bring in all these other pieces, but that is a guy that we need and a guy that's a difference maker. And he's been looking good. So regardless of what's going on for the rest of the season for Dylan, right? You look at his record, like the win-loss record and everything. Does any of that matter when it comes to be September, October, and you want the guy with the 97-mile-an-hour fastball and this filthy put-away slider to shut down somebody else's offense in postseason baseball? That's the kind of guy that I want to have on there.
Getting so many great questions from our listeners, a lot coming in about Xander Bogaerts, who, by the way, he is having maybe one of his finest stretch since the Padres signed him. But Nestor Cortez is going to go ahead and make his Padres debut. What can people expect from Nestor Cortez? He signed with Milwaukee. He had a couple of starts. He's been rehabbing elbow inflammation, but he says he is fully healthy now, and he's excited to go ahead and get to the 4th, the 5th, and turn over the Padres bullpen. He was joking, but I mean, that's also a nice backup to have. What should we expect from Nestor Cortez tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Nestor has. And the full story, and he kind of went through it yesterday, was he pitched really well for the Yankees last year, then started having some of those elbow issues started to occur in September. So he shut down for a little while, came back for the postseason, and was able to perform. Took the offseason off, thought, okay, let me give it a little bit of rest. Everything should be fine. But he came back into spring training, and it wasn't quite fine yet. And so that's when he went on the IL, had the Plateman treatments, and, did everything that he's needed to do to get to this point. So it was, frustrating for the Milwaukee Brewers, right? They're giving up Devin Williams, their closer, to get what they feel like is going to be an impact starter, and the poor guy's elbow's not right. But it might be beneficial now for the Padres because apparently he's felt good in his last couple of rehab outings. He feels like he can go out there and perform. He's able to throw all of his pitches pain-free. So this could be really good timing for the Padres in terms of getting a guy who his arm is going to be fresh. Hopefully it's healthy and can launch and be super helpful here down the stretch. And a guy that also has the experience, which is another reason why I believe AJ Preller went out and got him. Left-hander that's got experience in postseason play and is going to be able to handle himself in these type of high-stress situations. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Nestor has, and I know he's excited to get out there as well. So there's going to be some adrenaline flowing for him.
I can't wait to watch this. Okay, I have 1,000 questions to ask you, but I promised you I would keep you under 5 hours today, Bob Scanlan. So let me go ahead and get to some of these questions. Let's see. Freddie Fermin, how difficult is it of all the pieces that you can add to a new team? I would imagine that getting a catcher caught up to speed is probably the toughest addition you can make, especially when you're going to maybe not a pure platoon, but maybe a 60-40 role. How tough is it to go ahead and challenging for the Padres to get Fermin up to speed, even with pitch com?
Yeah, you nailed it, Marty. That is the toughest thing to do, right? It's always difficult when you bring in a position player to a new lineup and a new clubhouse and seeing a different league, right? In terms of National League versus American League.
Mm-hmm.
Now, multiply that by 2 for a catcher, because not only is he trying to figure it out from the offensive side, but this guy's got to learn an entire pitching staff. He has to learn the whole new system that the Padres use in terms of here's how we evaluate guys. Here's how we put together pitch sequencing. Even such a silly thing, and I didn't realize this till the other day, it was brought up, learning how to use the pitch com, because apparently the pitch com systems are not the same for every organization. They have different ways of using buttons, different ways of doing it. You got a different voice talking in your ear. So silly little things like that, which on the one hand, to your point, the pitch com should help guys communicate better, right? Because if you're a catcher and you're not sure, the pitcher can just stand there and tell you, hey, here's what I want to throw right here, right now. So that certainly helps. But there's just technical things that a new guy coming on board has to absorb. So it's a lot, I guess, is the point. And the good thing is, coming from Kansas City, you heard nothing but great things about Fermin and his being mentored by Sal Perez. Yeah, and that's a thing that's certainly going to be helpful to him. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see how quickly he can get up to speed with all the new systems that he's having to learn and all these new pitchers that he's learning. And each pitcher not only has stuff that you have to learn, Marty, but as you know, there's personalities, right? How do certain guys handle themselves on the mound in different situations? Mm-hmm. The guy that I've got to give a pat on the back right here? Who's the guy that might need a little kick in the butt when I go out to the mound to talk to him? How do I connect with this pitcher so he has some trust in me that the signals that I'm calling are what he wants to do? So there is a lot to it, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly Fermin can get up to speed with it all.
Bob Scanlan, when you write the book after this season on the 2025 Padres, will last night, August 5th against the D-backs, be referred to as the Ramon Laureano game? Just by the way, it's incredible. Like I'm sure that the Padres have made impactful trades before, but the thing that's been great for this fan base right now is you've seen every single player the Padres have acquired make an impact. And the Padres do not win that game last night with the previous guys they had in the bottom of the order. It has been a remarkable transformation.
Yeah, it really has. And we talked about it last night in that 11th inning when they scored all those runs and the contributions from throughout the lineup and, all kinds of depth. And the ability for Mike Shildt now to go to his bench with more confidence as well is certainly an important thing. And the diversity of that bench to be able to put guys in different places. But, sticking with the Laureano topic, how good has he been? I mean, he's just stepped right in. And you know what really resonated with me, Marty, is how he's done it, right? Opposite field power we saw in his first home run to the deepest part of Petco Park. Yesterday, how many of those hits were opposite field that did the damage? Most of them. Yeah. Fastballs away, opposite field. They tried to come inside on him, kept his hands inside. That last hit, opposite field. In other words, he's the prototypical Padre hitter, right? I mean, he fits right in with what Victor Rodriguez has been preaching since he got here and what we've seen this team do. How many times early in the season did we see them put together rallies where it's not home run, bomb, it's base hit opposite field, base hit through the hole, base hit up the middle, that kind of approach. So he just really fits in with the style of this offense, it looks like. And, he's a guy that had great numbers for many years, went through a dry spell, figured it out when he was with Atlanta, and it had a mechanical thing to do with his front side, keeping it closed. Now that he's doing that, put up the great numbers again this year. He's carrying it over here to San Diego. And again, it just seems like he's a Padre style type of hitter and fits in perfectly with this offense and already been a big contributor. It's been super fun to watch. Speaking
of big contributors, what do you think's been the difference with Xander Bogaerts? So I know that Mike Shildt referred to early on that he was just a victim of some hard hit outs and he was hitting him to the right places. But what are you seeing with Bogaerts?
Yeah, all the above. And it was interesting because I was thinking to myself before Bogey, and we used June 19th as sort of the turnaround day, right? Because that was the day he had the 4 hits against the Dodgers. And since then, he's been on fire, right? Hitting well over 300. But it felt to me, and you know how sometimes we just see things, Marty, we're watching, and there's just this perception of, gosh, it feels like he's got a lot of hard hit outs. It just feels like it's bad luck, like a shot up the middle and the fielder's there, or a line drive right at somebody. But sometimes that's deceiving. So I actually went in and did looked in some of the analytics, and I was shocked at what I was seeing in terms of hard hit contact, the barrel percentage, the reduction in chase rate. I mean, there were all these things looking at his numbers, and this is over the career. I was like, he's doing some of the best numbers he's ever done in his career behind the scenes, and it's just not playing out. So what is going on here? And sure enough, about 4 days later, all of a sudden he has that big hit against the Dodgers and has that big night, and it's just been Xander Bogaerts ever since. So
Yes.
I do think it was a case of a hitter doing all of the right things, but not getting the results for it. And I think that's what makes hitting so difficult sometimes, as opposed to pitching. When we make an adjustment or we do something, we usually get pretty accurate results right away. The hitters let us know, yes, that's working, yes, that's not. But as a hitter, sometimes you can be doing everything right as well as you can be and really not getting any results for it. So credit to Xander and Victor for working on some things. And I know that they had been working on some lower body things with him, getting more athletic, getting a little bit more dynamic with the hips and using the back legs a little bit more. And that was something that they had talked about a few weeks previous. And so that's what kind of triggered to me to like, God, it seems like he's hitting the ball hard. And then all of a sudden he's starting to get the results now. But it's not by accident, I guess is the point. This is something that he and Victor had been working on. And it just took a few weeks for the results to show themselves from those efforts that they had made. And credit to Xander, right? I mean, it's not always easy to make adjustments in the middle of the season. And he and Victor were working on stuff, and he stuck with it, even though the box score wasn't giving him some love. And it's giving him a lot of love now because he's put together some great plate appearances and doing it against all kinds of pitches. Also, Marty, when I looked at it last week in terms of what's he really feasting on, it's not one thing. It's not mistake fastballs. It's not hanging breaking balls. He's been doing damage on all kinds of different types of pitches and hitting them to all parts of the field. So it's been legit. It's not just a lucky little streak. It's Xander Bogaerts doing a nice adjustment for himself, and everyone's seeing the results now.
That's fantastic. Okay, I've got 2 more questions, Bob Scanlan, if you can go ahead and bear with me. Speaking of the results, here I'll let Julian Thompson ask this question. Should we give Tatis an off day, move Laureano to right field and O'Hearn to left field, and have Arise lead off? Go ahead and take it away, Bob Scanlan, because people are wondering what's happening with Fernando's plug and give him an off day. I'm gonna answer one part of that question. The one reason why you don't give Tatis an off day, because even with offensive struggles, is you see the difference that he makes defensively. I mean, there's no one like him quite in the game, and he's going to save you. He will win you games with his defense. But can Fernando maybe perhaps use a day off before you get crunch time and hopefully the playoffs?
He's getting a day off tomorrow. The whole team gets a day off tomorrow. So I don't think Fernando ever wants a day off. And to your point, the guy is such a difference maker in right field on the defensive side, not only in terms of stealing home runs, going over the top of the wall, right? But that cannon of an arm that he has out there, you just see it in the back of hitters, base runners' minds. You know, they're on first base hit to right field, and they're not even thinking about rounding second. It's like, I can't even round second, because if I do and I go too far to try to induce a throw to third base, he's going to throw behind me, and I'm going to be tagged out at second. So he's a force out there. He's a presence. The other thing, and Sam and I were talking about this in the broadcast yesterday, it shocked me that I looked at his on-base percentage since July 1st, and it's at about 420. So it's not just a thing of Fernando, you know, he's not had the power that we want, but he has showed a different level of discipline lately in terms of not chasing pitches and taking the walks that he's been getting on base. He's scored a ton of runs, and he's been setting the stage for the rest of the guys to drive him in. So he's still been contributing from the offensive side. To everyone's point, no, we've not seen the power, and I'm sure Fernando would love to see that power as well, but it's not as though he's not still been a factor at the top of that lineup and always a factor in the field, as you mentioned.
My last question, Bob Scanlan. I think 5 years from now, my nephew August is a huge fan of yours. By the way, when he meets anyone named Bob, he calls them Bob Scanlan. Like, he is determined to meet you. He is 7. I told him that if he listens, he has a good day. One day he will meet Bob Scanlan. That's
get him out to the ballpark, Marty.
I can't wait to. I'm going to do that. Maybe he'll sit with you in the booth. But
Cool.
On Mason Miller. So when you are doing this show with August 5 years from now, and he says, "Listen to me. Why did we trade DeVries? I want you to go ahead and explain for this year and for next year why the Mason Miller trade makes sense for the Padres right now, and the particular window they do have with some of these players."
Yeah, it's a great question, because as soon as you see a what they call a no miss prospect, and there is no such thing, because there are guys that miss, right? But that being said, when you've got an 18-year-old switch hitting shortstop that is already doing really well at high A ball, you can project him out in the next year or two to be an impact big leaguer. You're like, well, what are we getting back? Well, you know, with Mason Miller, first of all, he's an impact guy right now, and he's strengthened what the Padres' strength already was in terms of the back end of this bullpen. But not only that, but it gives them a little bit of security because, as we all know, back end of this bullpen has been used a lot in high leverage situations. They've not been easy innings for those guys, and they've done a fantastic job. But God forbid something should happen to somebody, you've got some backup now. So you've added to your strength up there. You've shortened the ball game for Mike Shildt. We've seen that now. Jason Adams has pitched in the 6th inning twice in his last 3 outings.
It's amazing.
That only happened one other time all season, Marty, where we've seen him before the 7th. All of a sudden now you're seeing him in the 6th inning. It's like losing manager. You're down by a run in the 4th. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble right here.
Yeah.
So, so that's for this year where you're trying to win a championship. And that's what all those moves at the trade deadline were about. It's about bringing championship to San Diego. And that's an important part of it in terms of shortening the games and helping out the bullpen in that way. But also, to your point, it's a future move also. This guy's under control for the next 4 years. And there's already been discussion and questions about where does he fit best in a staff. We know that he can be a dominant bullpen guy throwing 104 miles an hour, something that no other human being can do on the planet. He's done it more than anybody else. How does that translate into the starting rotation? It'll be interesting to see if that's what they want to do, because we've already seen he's got good breaking stuff also. He's not a one-trick pony. It's not just rear back and fire and hope for the best. He's got good breaking pitches. So who knows? You may end up with a starter over the next 3 or 4 years that can be a top of the rotation type guy. How valuable is that? I mean, yeah, you're giving up a potential impact bat shortstop, but if you get back a potential impact starting rotation type guy, I think all of a sudden it makes a lot of sense, especially if he's under control for the next 4 years.
You literally just led me to my last question that I was going to ask you of the two, Morejon versus Mason Miller, who was more likely to be stressed out as a starter. I will let you, because I know you have to go. You've been switching up your time, but why not?
You're singing my song now, Marty, because I actually last year, after what Adrian did out of the bullpen, in my mind, I'm thinking they've got to be thinking about it, right? I mean, this has to be a topic of can Adrian transition back into the starting rotation? And I think the answer is yes. I think people believe that he can do it. I know he believes he can do it. And the way that he's pitching now, not throwing, pitching now with his command of his fastball and that great slider that he has and the off speed, the changeup has been well also. I don't see any reason that he can't do that. He's super effective out of the pen, and it's been amazing. And I get, great year last year, get him on his feet, get him like confidence. Let's do it again for another year, continue to build on that. And he has. But to your point, it would not surprise me at all if we saw the lefty in the starting rotation next year. If he does that, talk about a 1-2 combo with Miller and Morejon added to your starting rotation. So yeah, we're speculating, we're guessing, but it's something that's legitimately on the table and could be super exciting, right?
Oh boy, Bob Scanlan, you're the best. When you get to the ballpark today, make sure you ask Mike Shildt about his starting rotation for next year and how Morejon and Mason Miller are going to go ahead. He's going to love that question.
We're focused right here, Marty. It's today. Let's win today.
Let's go one day at a time, but that's not for us. Hey, Bob, you're the best. Have a wonderful broadcast. Stay safe from that heat, and look forward to seeing you at Petco Park. Friday, Boston Red Sox, baby. Let's go.
It's going to be fun. Marty, thanks so much. Always great talking ball with you.
You're the best. That's the one and only Bob Scanlan. Man, Scan's the best. I could talk to him for an hour. I told Bob Scanlan that I would keep him for 10 to 15 minutes, but he has so much great information, and there's so many players to go ahead and talk about. So Bob, thank you for doing this. We really, really, really appreciate you. All right, guys, to go ahead and sign off for today's show, I'm going to bring you a little bit of Nestor Cortez talking to the San Diego media when he was first brought to the Padres about the trade and joining this talented pitching staff. And as Bob Scanlan mentioned, yes, he is in awe of being in the same clubhouse with Yu Darvish. Reminder, guys, we are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. Here is tonight's starter, Nestor Cortez.
Be a Padre, and what's this been like the last 48, 72 hours?
Yeah, it's been a little crazy. I was in Milwaukee, flew in last night, but as soon as I got traded, a bunch of people reached out and make me feel like I was really welcomed here. And walking into the clubhouse today, obviously a lot of guys came up to me and said hi and presented me to all these places that we have here. So it's a maze for me now, but just happy to be here, happy for the opportunity.
How are you feeling? The rehab looked like they were going well.
Yeah, rehab was going well. Getting better between each start because I feel like I'm recuperating better too, which that was the biggest problem. It wasn't the pitch day 1, pitch day 5. It was the in between that was hard for me, and I feel like that's gotten a lot better.
Were you surprised that San Diego was a destination for you?
I was a little surprised, even though obviously I felt like if there was a chance to get out of Milwaukee, it was gonna be to a contender, and I'm just happy to be here and happy to compete. I want to get the ball every 5 days, hopefully, and be able to give the best that I can.
What do you think about the roster, pitching staff that you are joining, and just the depth of it?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I was joking with my friends last night from back home. It's like all you got to do is get to the 5th inning and possibly the 4th, and then just turn it over. But yeah, no, I mean, what the team has done at deadline has been incredible, really aggressive, and like I said, just happy to be part of this team, happy to hopefully just be a stepping stone to get to the playoffs and hopefully win it all.
You know what it's like to be part of the postseason push for this team and this division. What do you think of this opportunity?
Yeah, no, it's great. Once a team is, eyeing the postseason, and once they get in, it's all about who gets hot at the right time. And like I said, I think this team, watching it from afar for years now, always seems to be in there and be in the fight. So just happy to be here again, and I just want to do my part. I just want to pitch. I want to be able to contribute to what these guys are doing here. These guys, I mean, it's been a little bit more than half the season, and it's been great. So we just want to contribute.
The season hasn't gone like the way you wanted it with the injury, but like to be coming back now and to be able to kind of make an impact and maybe be fresh down the stretch. Do you feel like there's like still a lot left to go?
Oh yeah. The hardest part is obviously being on the sidelines, not being able to do anything as far as in a real game. But some things are just you can't control it, and being able to pitch those 4 rehab outings in the minor leagues and knowing that I'm ready to go gives me that satisfaction to push and wanting the ball every 5 days it's going to be big for me, and hopefully like I said, I just want to contribute to this team and just be part of it, and hopefully we get far enough.
Sorry, I haven't been able to look up all the cross-section of who you've played with besides me.
Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. King, Sears, Wandy. I played with Tatis in the DR when we won the championship over there with the Estrellas. Played with Manny and the Orioles. If I see more names, I'm sure there's more people, but even staff, like I've ran across staff here too, so it hasn't been a super change for me. Obviously, there's a lot of you guys, a lot of guys with big names like you and stuff like that. When I saw him, I was a little impressed. Yeah, just hopefully I just fit right in seamlessly and take care of business.
You're kind of the Kevin Bacon of this clubhouse, right? You're connected to every which way.
I'm sorry?
You're kind of the Kevin Bacon of this clubhouse.
Yeah. Just, I speak Spanish, I speak English, maybe a little bit of Japanese. No, just kidding. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be with all these guys again, the guys that I play with, and excited to see what the new guys that I'm going to meet today and be part of this team. Just be one nuclear bomb and get ready to go.
Thank you. No one else got my 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon comment. Oh well. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
I think we have the opportunity to do damage every single inning. It doesn't matter where we are in the lineup. So that's pretty exciting.
I'm happy the Padres did not trade Dylan Cease.
Oh man, so glad. So glad. I think all of us are very, very, very happy, except Gavin.
Except for Gavin.
I'm just kidding. But no, we're all happy, and he's a great guy overall. So it's just exciting to have him for still.
You don't ever lack for confidence, energy, or anything else. But how much did all these moves invigorate this entire clubhouse, including you?
Yeah, you definitely feel it. You walk in that day, and it was just like everybody wanted to meet each other. Everybody kind of got here early and just ready to get along and move forward. That's what we're doing.